So, a second day that I'm taking away. I'm sorting cards. I'm going to talk about another deck today. The question is which one? I don't know. Well, yesterday I talked about the Sliver deck. That leaves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 decks plus an EDH deck, which I don't really want to talk about. So let's leave that one out of the running. Let's see, what do I have here? Okay, that's my Bolt deck, or as I sometimes refer to it as methamphetamine. Methamphetamine, one of its street names is Speed, which is why I call it that, which is why I call it methamphetamine. It's a fast Bolt deck. The mana curve tops out at 3. It's got 16 mountains in it. That's the mana base. That's the mana base. So, yeah, I mean, for most decks, 16 would be criminally low, but for the most part, it works with that deck. I've seen that deck win on one land. That's creepy. Doesn't happen too often, though. That's really difficult to pull off. 2 it can consistently win on. 3 is all it needs. There's Mind Splitter, my discard deck. And this is a red, black, white. White. Why did I say white? This is a red, black knight. That's why I said white, because I brain farted on a word and started the word with the wrong sound. There we go. This is a black-red knight tribal deck. It started off many years ago. A fellow I used to know, a fellow by the name of Scott Alexander, who was a really good guy. He died of cancer a couple of years back, which is a damn shame, because he was one of the finest human beings I've ever met. But one day he was having a gathering over at his home for a bunch of players, and one of the things was bring 2 decks with you. They both have to be tribal, and your support cards have to be Highlander. That is, no doubles of any non-creature, non-basic land card. And I had a black-red. I went with a black-red knight deck, which was actually fun to play, despite the fact that I screwed up and had to make some last-minute adjustments after I started playing it, because without even thinking about it, I threw 4 Dark Rituals into it. Yeah, that was the wrong thing to do, because I forgot the 4 of rule for support when it came to Dark Rituals, because whenever I make a deck with black in it, just out of force of habit, I throw in 4 Dark Rituals, because they're just that good. They really are. This, if I recall correctly, this is... Okay, yeah. That is technically it's an extended deck. It's mono blue, lots of artifacts. If I had more than one, I would actually think about putting Pilapala in it to go with the Grand Architect. I really would. But, yeah. Honestly, the only thing that makes the deck extended right now is the presence of Ethereum Sculptors. But it's a fun little deck. I like it. I haven't played it that much yet, but I like the deck. And that's Pink Jagger. Named for the band Pink Floyd and Mick Jagger, who is the lead singer of the Rolling Stones. The pun in the name is that, once again, Mick Jagger's the lead singer of the Rolling Stones. The card Rolling Stone states that walls may attack as though they didn't have Defender, and one of Pink Floyd's most popular albums is The Wall. It's a red, white, and green wall deck that I've had for ages. It's a fun deck. I like it. It's not terrifyingly efficient or effective, but I've had people sit there and laugh their asses off looking at like trying to remember exactly how big it was. It was a 22-25 wall of swords. Yeah, people laughing their asses off when they have a 22-25 wall of swords coming at them. And the only answer they had was to chump block. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna chump block that. Screw that. That ain't hitting me. What else do I have here? This appears to be a standard legal Knight Tribal deck. It needs some work, but whatever. The Fungus of Speed and Time. This is a deck I've been tinkering with for a long time. I mean a long time. The original incarnation of the Fungus of Speed and Time used second chances with Skull of Orm, but that really doesn't work anymore because you can't mana burn yourself. So, yeah, but with the advent of mana burn and some of the really fun cards that they came out with for Thalids in Time Spiral block, the deck's been rebuilt a lot. As a side note, most of my early Thalid decks were red and green or red, white, and green. And I eventually came to the conclusion that the best color for complementing Thalids is blue, because you need your card draw, you need your card advantage, you need, more than anything else, you need counter spells to stop mass removal cards. You know, nothing screws your day up. When you're playing a Thalid deck, nothing screws your day up worse than a Wrath of God. This is my fun little Palinchron High Tide deck that also has a Stasis Lock combo in it. It's a fun deck. It's annoying as all hell for other people to play against. I like the deck, I really do, but I don't play it very often because it's not fun for my opponents. My opponents sit there and hate the deck, for the most part. This is Freezer Burn. I think this is the one I want to talk about today. That's my Counter Tour deck. Yeah, Battle Cattle. It's a Minotaur deck. And this is, what have I got hiding? Oh, that's my Fairy deck that I mentioned before. So, I'm going to take out Freezer Burn. Here's a sideboard that for Freezer Burn. Well, you got some tokens, and it's a bunch of cards that have at times been part of the deck or been edited out of the deck. Repercussion was a fun card in the deck, or some cards that I thought might want to go in the deck. There's Shard Phoenix. That used to be nice with Repercussion. Oh yeah. A Japanese Beldon's Cane, some tokens. So anyways, let's look over this deck. Because this deck is my baby. I love this deck. And I've been tinkering with this deck for years upon years. Putting the basic lands aside for now. There's a bunch of cards in here that I probably should run more copies of if I can. And other cards in here that I only run like single copies of because either they're not terrifically great in multiples, or I was trying to go for some kind of a format legality. For the most part, I try to make my decks so that they're at least, I was about to say Type 1, but it's not really called Type 1 anymore either. I can't remember if it's called Legacy or Vintage, I can't remember. Gabba 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 gabba. Words are meaningless. But yeah. So that, and of course, I'm thinking that I'm also not running enough land in the deck. Back this thing off a little bit for a second. Yeah, it's sitting on. Whoops! It's sitting on top of my coffee mug. Put that there. I'll drop that right in the middle somewhere because I can. And okay, that's yeah. The reason why that seems so damn odd is because I start putting that in a different stack. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. This is it's Freezer Burn. It's a red-white control deck. I started playing it ages, and I mean ages, before the Boros came out in Ravnica. I've been playing nearly creatureless red and white decks for a long, long time. And this deck has bounced back and forth between being creatureless and near creatureless over the years. One of the things I like about this deck is it does have the ability to easily recover from a creature wipe, even with its limited creature base. The original idea I had, and this was way back in the days, I want to say 4th or 5th edition days, sometime around then. I know it was before 6th edition. My plan was to use the classic Winter Orb Icy Manipulator combo. I've got 3 of each here, with Howling Minds, to produce a colorblind version of Turbostasis. At the time, I only owned 2 Howling Minds. Those are them. I've got a bunch more now, more than I probably know what to do with. But over the years, the Howling Minds have stayed in, the Winter Orbs have stayed in, the Icy Manipulators have stayed in. After 6th edition rules came out, and the Winter Orb no longer shut down after being tapped, I was upset, and I was trying to think of some way to salvage this deck, because one of the primary control combos in it just plain didn't work anymore. And then a few months later, they eroded Winter Orb so that it worked the same way as it did under pre-6th edition rules, which made me quite happy. Quite happy. And then a couple of months back, they took that errata away, which made me very, very unhappy, to say the least. Now, I mean, alright, well, I'm not going to get into that. I really shouldn't. Because right now what I really want to talk about is this deck. Because I love this deck. This deck is my baby. I don't play it as much as I used to because it tends towards long games, and I haven't had a lot of time for those as of late either. But anyway, yeah. Winter Orbs, 3 Winter Orbs, 3 Icy Manipulators, a couple of Howling Minds. That's the primary piece of the control combo. That particular, the Winter Orb Icy Manipulator part actually worked very, very well. The Howling Mind section of it never worked out, how can I put this? It never worked, that particular part of it never worked out as well as I wanted to. In fact, I could probably have gotten by removing the Howling Minds completely. I really could have. Here we have a fun card, obscure card, Pursuit of Knowledge. 3 colors and a white, it's an enchantment, it's from Stronghold. You may skip drawing a card to put a study counter of Pursuit of Knowledge. You may remove 3 study counters from Pursuit of Knowledge and sacrifice it to draw 7. I'll be perfectly honest, I put it in there because it's a draw card effect. And what I think is actually really kind of funny about it in the long run is that this is... a card that actually allowed me to beat Palamacron, High Tide, Stroke of Genius combo once. Because when I played the Pursuit of Knowledge, my opponent says, "What does that do?" And I explained it to him, and the only part that really clicked in his head was, "Makes me draw cards." He didn't care. And then he Stroke of Genius me, and I declined to draw any of the cards. And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Let me see that." And I show him, and I have never in my entire life seen anyone so happy to lose. Never. What else have I got in here? There's an Ivory Tower. It's a 1-drop. During your upkeep, gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand in excess of 4. Sol Ring! There we go. I'll point the camera a little further down. Ivory Tower used to be restricted in Type 1. I don't know if it still is. Probably not. I mean, it's too slow of a card with too unimpressive an effect. It's basically in here because this deck does tend to take early beats. I have considered replacing it with Venser's Journal, but I don't know yet. I don't know. So like the Winter Orbs, I'm gonna have to like hunt down some Static Orbs as replacements. Spirit Mirror. It's 2 colors and double white for an enchantment. During your upkeep, if there are no reflection tokens in play, put a reflection token into play. It's a 2/2 white creature. And for a cost of 0, you destroy target reflection. Now what's nice is reflection is still a supported creature type. So when it says destroy target reflection, now when it was first printed, the idea is you'd only be destroying reflection tokens. This card, in and of itself, will murder Changeling decks. Just murder them. Oh, you got a Changeling? I'm going to pay 0 and destroy it. You can't do that, it's not a reflection. Yes, it is. It's every creature type, reflection included. Oh, yeah. Here's some fun stuff. Pair of Luminarch's Ascensions, one of which foil. Those can provide me with some nice creatures, especially, heavens forbid, if I've got a lockdown going on. 3 Oblivion Rings, one of which in German. A nice removal card. Very nice. Now, oh, before I forget, a pair of Opal Acroliths. 2 colors and a white. It's an enchantment. When your opponent plays a creature spell. Now, I'm going to have to check the errata to see how it works today. I think it's when a creature comes into play under your opponent's control. I'm not 100% certain. But when your opponent plays a creature spell, if the Acrolith is an enchantment, it becomes a 2/4 Guardian creature, which can revert back to an enchantment at will. Anytime you want. For a cost of 0, you revert it back to an enchantment. It's not turning back into a 2/4 Guardian until your opponent drops another creature, but in the meantime, yeah, it's like, bam. So, I've got myself a creature base that can survive, or basically that can survive or screw over people with my 3 Wrath of God and a Balance. Balance is in there because, hey, you know what, it's a poor man's Wrath of God. Love Balance. It's such an evil card. I'll touch back on that in a moment. Enlightened Tutor. All right. Other than these cards other than the Balance and the Wrath of Gods, pretty much everything I've shown you so far is an artifact or enchantment. Enlightened Tutor is a single white mana. It's an instant. Search your deck for an artifact or enchantment. Reveal, shuffle, put it on top. That's just mean. That's just mean in a deck where, like, most of my permanents are artifacts and enchantments, especially my lock combo. So yeah, that's just really, really mean. The only creatures I have in the deck that are actually creatures, a trio of Firemane Angels. They're a recent addition. I actually traded online with someone on the message boards at Wizards for them, a fellow by the name of, I want to say it was Green Meanie 72. Can't remember. I know it was Green Meanie, but I can't remember if he had a number on there. I think he did. And yep, there's the 3 Wraths in the Balance. and Allay and a Shattering Pulse. Yeah, they're reusable removal cards. Oh, hell's yes. One of the things, of course, because this is a control deck, I value the ability to have cards that I can reuse, like all of those, my creatures, these 2 Hammers of Bogarden, etc., etc. I mean, it's kid science, it's fun stuff. Actually, now that I think about it, instead of the Adventurer's Journal, maybe I should replace the Ivory Tower with a Elixir of Immortality. That might serve me a little better. Plus, of course, I've got some miscellaneous removal and direct damage cards, which are as often as not used as removal. I've got playset of Lightning Bolts, 3 Incinerates, 2 Disintegrates, and a pair of Karvik's Torch. Karvik's Torch is nice because it's difficult for blue players to counter it. Always nice. My land base, I've got, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plains. 5, 6, 8 plains and 6 mountains. So that's 14 right there. Playset of Plateaus. That puts me up to 18, and that's land number 19 of Sacred Foundry. I'm probably running less land than I really should, to be perfectly honest. But honestly, the really, I don't know. I don't know what I'm not sure what I should take out of that. Maybe actually some of the X-cost spells. I'm not certain. For that matter, I could probably take out the X-cost spells and replace them with the, I believe it's the Shrine of Rage from New Phyrexian? Ooh, yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Replace those, some Shrines of Rage, replace that with the Elixir of Immortality. Yeah, this can work. Sneak in a couple more lands. I might be able to pull that off. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, yeah, this is a fun deck for me. Generally not for my opponents, because when it works, it just does horrifyingly mean evil things to people, which is the way I like to play. Cards that have been in and taken out over the years are Shard Phoenix, a couple of Magma Phoenixes. Never really got the chance to use the Magma Phoenixes. Goblin Trenches, Burning Sands, and Karmic Justice are all cards that I put inside board and never got around to putting into the deck at all. Repercussion, used to main deck that, loads of fun. For those that don't know, it's a Cullison double red for an enchantment, and whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals damage, deals an equal amount of damage to that creature's controller. So, for example, when I sacrifice the Shard Phoenix for 2 damage to all non-flying creatures, it would then do 2 damage to the controller of those creatures for each creature. And since this deck pretty much has no real creature base in it, in what little creature base I do have, I can revert to enchantments or destroy or outright destroy before this hits the field. I can just say, hey, you know what? Blop. I've killed with that level little combo before. It's fun. What else do I have sideboard? Avenging Angel. She's nice. I like her. I think that might even be the only copy I have. I got her out of the Decrease Precon for Tempest. She's a fun little card. She's 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer. If she put into your graveyard from play, you may put her on top of your library. The only problem I really see with her is the fact that she denies me of a card draw if my opponent has a reusable way to kill her. And I don't want to give up on her, then she's going to keep denying me card draws. So eventually you just have to let her die. And that goes a little bit against this deck's mindset, where I want everything to be as reusable as possible. Story Circle. Oh, I loved that card when it came out. Colorless and double white. When it comes to play, choose a color, pump white to prevent all damage from one source of your choice of that color would deal to you. Kid science, fun stuff. Some angel tokens. You know, it's a fun deck. I like it. I've been using it for years. I haven't played it much lately, but I suppose that can't really. Well, I say it can't really be helped. I say this mostly on account of the fact that a lot of times people don't show up early for the draft, and a lot of times I'm not showing up early either. And well, if you don't have much time to play constructed decks, I guess. And especially with that one, because games with that thing tend to run long. And that's just the way the deck is built. Yeah, I mean, it's designed for the long game. But it's one of my babies, which is probably one of the reasons why I was so upset with the removal of the errata off of Winter War. I think a better solution would be to reprint it somewhere, but that's just me. Well, that's not just me, it's a lot of people's opinion, but it is what it is. I'm still upset about it, I'll admit that. I keep trying to stop myself from going on a tirade about it. Anyways, for those that do want to know, though, that Sol Ring that you saw there, Sol Ring's a nice little card. It was reprinted in the From the Vault Relic series, if I recall correctly, which I did not know about when it came out. Apparently it came out while I was in Iraq. I didn't hear about it until I got back home. And by then, the only place you could get it pretty much was eBay. I've only seen one copy of the From the Vault set in person. It was going for like, I can't remember how much it was going for. I want to say $80 odd, but I'm not 100% certain. And I just didn't have that kind of cash on me. And at that point in time, I couldn't really justify it either, which is a shame. But, is what it is. But anyway, the Sol Ring. Here's a fun thing for you. Apparently, I believe it's next month, Wizards is putting out this series of decks, pre-constructed decks, for play in the Commander format, or as it's also sometimes still referred to as Elder Dragon Highlander, EDH. And they've got a bunch of new cards in there, a bunch of new generals. One is this red, white, and black angel that just does mean things. There's some sort of a slime general of some sort or another. I want to say he's blue and green. I can't remember. But yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. And apparently, every single one of these decks has a reprint of Sol Ring in it. Not foil, but it's still a Sol Ring. Sol Ring is a wonderful card. It really is. So I just figured I'd throw that out there for those that don't know about it yet. But then, if you're probably subscribing to my YouTube channel, it's probably because you came across it through a link on the Wizards message board. You've already heard about this. Blah blah blah. Yakety schmackety. Yeah. So anyway, have a good night, fellas. And I think I'm going to get back to sorting either tomorrow or the next night, unless I hear a bunch of requests to talk about some of the other decks that I have in here, which I'm not expecting. But anyway, for those that want to know, I've got a Fairy deck, a Minotaur deck, my Palinchron Stasis deck, my Thallid deck, Standard Knight Tribal, my Wall deck, my extended Blue and Artifact deck, my Black-Red Knight deck, my Discard deck, my Bolt deck. That's pretty much all I really have. That and the EDH deck, but I don't want to go over that one. So if you want to pester me to talk about my decks, don't ask me about that one, please. Just because I said that, I know someone's going to pester me about it. Oh well. Have a good night, fellas. Be good.